Hey everybody, it's Allison Dorman here, and today we're going to be talking about the weather in Dallas, Texas. And I'm going to tell you the biggest thing you need to know is it's random. So don't you dare come visit here or move here without checking out my video, because I'm going to be giving you the insider tips that you're going to need to know so that you don't mess up when you come visit or you come live here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just give you some kind of general overview information about weather in Dallas, Texas, and how it kind of compares to the weather in the rest of Texas. And then we're going to break it down by season, and I'm going to give you those tips that you're definitely going to want to know. So first thing right now is just a reminder that I created this channel because I wanted to have a place for people who are either coming to visit Dallas or who are thinking about moving to Dallas to be able to kind of get that insider expert local information, if you will, before you even get here, so that you're equipped and you're educated and you know what's up, and you can see if it's a place that is right for you. So make sure that you hit subscribe, because I have new videos that come out every Friday, or at least I try to have it every Friday, just keeping it real, so that you guys know what's going on. So let's just get to the weather. First of all, it is windy here. We are actually windier than Chicago. So you'll see lots of hats in Dallas. You'll see lots of hairspray in Dallas, and just people who recognize that it is really windy here. It's not like blow you away crazy windy, but there are days that you're like, oh my heart. So just keep that in mind. It is great when it's hot in the summer though, because it helps kind of cool you off. It's not super humid in Dallas. Other parts of the state, as you get farther down south, I know Houston's kind of known for being a little bit more humid. So just know that in the Dallas section, it's not humid. We'll kind of talk about that when we get to the summer, but I was happy to leave the humidity behind in Atlanta. So another just kind of general thing about Dallas, you already know it's hot here. So we're gonna kind of break down the temperatures and kind of all that stuff when we get to the specific seasons, but just know it's hot in general. But the big thing that people don't know about here is our hailstorms. So make sure you stick around for the rest of the video so that you know what to do when the hailstorm comes. And then, like I said, the biggest tip I have for Dallas is as a general weather, heads up, is that it's random. Like you'll literally, I would love to be able to pack up all of our winter clothes and put them away and enjoy the summer clothes. And then, like when all that's done, pack those clothes up and then take out the winter clothes. Nope, sorry. Doesn't happen here, because you'll have one day where you're like, ooh, flip-flops. And then the next day where you're like, my feet are freezing, I need fuzzy socks and boots. So just know that you're probably gonna need to keep at least a little of each season out all year long for the most part, because you'll have every now and then a pop-up day of a random season. It just kind of keeps you guessing. So check out the rest of my videos. We'll break it down by season and you'll know exactly what you need to know when you come to Dallas. Okay, so let's take a minute and talk about winters in Dallas. And depending upon where you're coming from, you're gonna have to put the word winter in air quotes. So our winter is not very long. It usually kind of starts in November, maybe late November, and runs through the end of February. And just to kind of give you a gauge on the temperatures, in November, our average low is 43 and the average high is 62. So you can see you kind of almost run a season in a day here, almost like wintry in the morning. And then for some of you, like spring, whatever, in the afternoon when it gets up to 62. In January, it can be 35 as the average low, and then 54 is the average high. And then February, we kind of get back to that same thing. 42 is the average low and 62 is the average high. So again, you almost have like a full season in a day. And our kids kind of joke about that, because you'll dress one way in the morning, and then by the afternoon, it's a totally different season. They have to come home and change before they go out and play. Now, that is kind of one of the things that's crazy about Dallas. We talked about how random the weather is. So your winter is going to be, one day it's 42, the next day it might be 70. So you definitely want to have a good coat. You will have days where you're glad that you have a nice winter jacket. You might have a day where you're outside doing something or whatever and you need a hat. You'll see a bunch of things on Pinterest with all their little cozy fireplaces and all that kind of stuff. And I don't really, if we do fire here, typically it's just for fun. Not so much because we actually need it, but we do have a winter. It's just not very dramatic. Snow isn't really common here. We might get it, on average, we might get it once every 5 years. You can kind of, check out different weather information for that. But that's kind of a standard, is that it doesn't really snow very often. And when it does snow, we have no idea how to handle that. We don't even want to. So we just kind of, and then we move on and it's done in a week and that's it. So if you're from another place that snow is normal, you'll probably have to tell us all the things to do because we don't know and we don't care. We bust out our inner tubes and our pool toys and play with those for a little bit if it snows, and then we go back to the lake. So I would say winter is kind of relatively mild here and relatively random. You're gonna need some winter gear, but nothing that's hardcore. If it does snow, we're hoping that we can borrow your stuff. That's pretty much it. Okay, so let's take a minute to talk about spring in Dallas. And where I am up in North Texas, it's kind of more prosperous Celina area. So I think our weather, I gotta take these off because they keep falling down and I don't wanna be messing with them while I'm talking to you guys. But our spring is basically one of our shortest seasons. It's basically March, April, and then kind of that beginning, maybe all the way through the end of May. Depending upon where you're coming from, obviously what we call spring, what you call spring are maybe a little different. But for the most part, you're wearing flip-flops already, you're wearing jeans, you're wearing t-shirts, you might have a sundress and a sweater, little layers. But the weather is definitely really nice in the spring. So we do get a lot of rain in the spring, so that's something to keep in mind. And then we do get hailstorms. So you heard me talk about that. So I'm gonna say this in a funny way, and it's not obviously funny if this happens to you and you get damaged, but basically roofers love Texas. They love Dallas because we do get hailstorms here. Sometimes the hail can get pretty big. And so you're gonna see people like mass scrambling to empty out everything in their garage and make sure that both of their cars are in there or all of their cars are in there because they don't wanna get hail damage. And then also some people order those big kind of like silver inflatable covers for their cars that if a hailstorm does hit, they can go out there and kind of, pad the car. And then really people get new roofs here probably like every 2 years or something. Like pro tip, don't ever get a new roof in the very beginning of the spring because you're gonna need another roof by the end. Like unless you have damage, it's usually better just to kind of wait till the end of the hail season and then have someone come out and check and see if you need one. But I'm not a roofer, so don't quote me on that. I just know that roofs and new roofs are a thing here because of the hail. So back to springtime fun. It's very windy here. I told you we're actually windier than Chicago by like a teeny tiny little percentage point. So that's one of the reasons, again, you see lots of hats and hairspray here, but it's nice because it feels good to have that breeze out there, but that's why you might want to layer a little bit in the spring. So I tell my kids, this is the time that, or if you're just someone who loves outdoor activities, you want to like be the biggest outdoor junkie in the spring in Texas because this is when you can go jump on the trampoline and it's not melting your feet off. This is when you can go play on all the playgrounds and you can go, sidewalk chalk and all that stuff. And you're not going to get like a 3rd-degree burn because your leg touched the metal on the slide. So enjoy the patio. This is when you want to milk it for all it's worth because there's not mosquitoes and bugs out yet. And the weather is gorgeous. So even though you might feel weird, load up on outside activities in the spring. Get all your hikes in, get all your walks in, get all your patio time in as much as possible. Let the kids play outside until they're just dead tired, whatever, because this is the best weather we have. I love the spring here. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about the summer in Dallas. So are you sweating already? Can you feel the sun coming through the screen? That's awesome. So our summers typically run from, and we're talking about like full throttle game on summer, from June, July, August, and then sometimes September can be kind of part of the party too. And it's obviously hot. So it's not very humid here and it's not arid here. It's kind of a nice thing in the middle. So the good thing is I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and you would walk to the mailbox and we felt like we were in the steam room, like you're like sweating everywhere. You feel like you have like a wet sweater on. It's just like, and I feel like the temperature in Dallas, even though it might even be higher, it doesn't feel as hot because we have that awesome breeze I mentioned and there just isn't the same level of humidity. I'm gonna take my sunglasses off now. So it is kind of a different feel. So if that's something that you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle that, you wanna come visit first or just talk to somebody. But the fact that it's not humid to me makes us able to handle a higher level of heat because it doesn't feel as stifling and as whatever. My husband says it's the difference between feeling like you're in a steam room and a sauna, whatever. So you can take that for what it's worth. But what we like about our summers here is obviously like you can go outside all the time and you can enjoy stuff. We have fans, we have air conditioning, and misters at different restaurants and lots of covered patios and things like that. You're probably gonna wanna live in a pool. By August, the pool starts to feel like bath water, but early on in the summer, it's really fun to either go to the neighborhood pool, have a pool in your backyard, whatever, but it's just nice to have a place to cool off, whether it's inside your air-conditioned car or your air-conditioned house. Some tips, legit, please stay hydrated. Drink lots of water here in the summer because you do sweat a lot, which is good for you, but you wanna make sure you stay hydrated. So don't play around with drinking water, do it. And then, sunscreen, hats, like even sometimes when you don't think about it, you're outside, you're just watching your kid's ball game, or maybe you're just outside, sitting, reading a book and you forget that you're in Dallas, like put sunscreen on, we might get sunburned. And, if you want to have friends, I consider investing in some deodorant because we do sweat a lot here. But really, what's great about our weather, we talked about how random it is you have most days that are really delightful because, again, we have that breeze. People plan ahead. They've got the patio covered, things that are covered, things that are shaded, and access to water. But also, that breeze just really helps cool things down. So it's not like you're sitting in that heat and there's no air movement. I think that's what makes it feel really, really hot. But we have air movement because it's windy here. So I think it's a lot more enjoyable to be outside than you might think when you just hear the numbers. And another thing is that, we try to just be smart about when we go outside. So when it is those days that it's really, really hot, high 90s, and then, some summers we have a couple days in there that it's triple digits, and you definitely want to play that smart. You don't want to just go outside all day long in the heat in triple digits and not kind of take some precautions. So, you'll learn the weather, you'll learn what to do, what not to do, and the kind of best times of day to enjoy outside. Like we try to walk the dog in the early evening or in the late evening, when the sun isn't like all up in your space, so that we all enjoy it more. So those are just the kind of things that you figure out. But even things like your car, like touching your handle, or putting one of those sunshades up if you're parking, out of business or something like that, and your car's gonna be outside in the heat, then, you can do all those little things to protect it. And then, so it's hot in the summer, but it's enjoyable hot. You can be smart about it. You're gonna have pedicure time because you're gonna be wearing sandals and you're gonna be wearing flip-flops a lot probably. And so it's a great place to come and just enjoy being outside as long as you use a wisdom. And then really for your yard, a couple tips. We learned this the hard way. Some other people do too. They moved to Texas and they want their yard to be green in the summer, and you water. And unless you just like, throwing away money, I don't suggest watering your yard every single day. So you'll have lots of drought resistant landscaping. Some people even put turf in their yard. But really, you don't have to water it all the time. Just find that happy place where you can water it enough to keep it alive and keep your, house and foundation in good, good situation. But you're not just like, take all my money, watering all the time. So those are just a couple things. But I would love to have a patio drink with you if you come visit in the summer. So just keep that in mind. Summer is still fun, even though it's hot. Okay, we're gonna talk about fall in Dallas, Texas. And here's how it goes. Basically, here's the real deal. What happens? You start seeing on maybe social media, Pinterest, if you're that kind of person, people posting things about like, oh, sweater weather. Oh, I've got my, my plaid scarf or my whatever. I've got my pumpkin spice this, my pumpkin spice that, whatever it is. And you're literally like, I'm in, a t-shirt, or I'm in shorts and maybe like a t-shirt with a sweater on. Like there's no real like hardcore sweater weather going on in our fall. We're drinking maybe a pumpkin spice latte, but we're not like feeling it in our soul because we're not like crunching through leaves and, like, oh, it's really chilly outside. Yeah, no. So we kind of fake fall here, if you will. You might have a couple, days along the way that actually feel fall-y, but in reality, it's basically like a glorified spring just dropped into different months. So I don't know if we can really count fall. We kind of, like I said, we have faux fall here. So we decorate like fall, we might dress like fall, but it's not really fall like it is on social media. So basically our September and October is kind of what we call fall here. And the temperatures still aren't super chilly yet. So you have some days, again, where you're in shorts and a t-shirt, and then you might have the next day where you're in jeans and maybe like a light long sleeve shirt or something like that. But they're kind of random fall days popped in between some days that still kind of want to be summer. So just know that all you see on Pinterest is maybe not actually the Dallas experience. The one thing that I wanted to mention, for those of you that have kids, is Halloween is like always a random toss-up here. We have some years where you'll see the kids, you know, you might be opening the door for them, or you might be taking your kids out and they're wearing, you know, like normal costumes and it's all good. Yay, everyone's having fun. And then you might have the next year where they're wearing their princess costume and they have a turtleneck on and they have like thermal, you know, underwear on underneath. So again, not because it's necessarily like freezing, but it's Texas cold, and you know, if it's a little bit under 60, we're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna freeze. So just know that even by October, you kind of have a little bit of debate about the weather. Sometimes the days are nice and warm, and then sometimes they kind of drop down and get a little bit chilly. But the biggest takeaway I can give you is that our weather is really random. One day it's this season, one day it's that season. Don't ever pack up all the things from seasons. Leave at least a little remnant out for each, and you should be good.